Los Angeles, I'm having a book event June 23rd. It is Live Talks LA. It's going to be a book event where there will be signings and a long discussion about the book. I'd love to see you there. Click the link in the description below and get tickets. Love to see you there.
So I'm like, yeah, go ahead, search the plane. So they put drug dogs on the plane. Well, of course, I smoke pot on the plane, so the dogs are... Yeah, I don't know what that's all about, but... And then the guy goes, the dog needs to sniff that bag on your shoulder. And I was like, ruh-roh.
100%. Cheers.
Listen, guys, Bert is under dialysis, and we're hoping he recovers soon. Thankfully, there are people that can come in and keep this show going. We are blessed today to have the great Ron White here with us. Give it up for Ron White, everybody.
There's applause coming from the back of the building somewhere.
They love it. Everybody loves Ron White. That's the thing. You're a legend, man. I'm so thankful that you're here.
Doesn't that legend mean almost dead or already dead?
No, not in this case, it doesn't.
Whenever comics introduce me out to Vulcan, they're always... It's so over the top, I can't even follow it.
I mean, it's got to feel good though. People admire you. We all look up to you. You kind of laid this path of like how to do it, and not only have you done it well, but the thing I think that happens when you do this, like when you do stand up for a while, is the thing you end up appreciating and respecting the most is longevity. It's somebody who, like, because people pop and then they kind of like fizzle out, but somebody that is a real comic that just keeps doing it, like it's who you are. You're a comedian.
That's it. That's it.
So we admire you, man. And you look great. You look fucking great, man.
Well, I haven't had a drink of alcohol in 16 months, I am not proud to say. And I believe that there's so much alcohol that you can drink in your lifetime. And I drank mine.
You got it.
And the next time when I come back in another life, I'm going to drink a little slower.
Okay.
So I have a little extra booze to drink in my 60s and 70s.
You have a little time with it later on. What are you doing to like fill the... the void of that?
Hard drugs.
Drugs?
Yeah, a lot of hard drugs.
Yeah.
What I've done is, I suffered a little depression when I was, kind of in the pandemic, and I was drinking a lot of my tequila. And then somebody suggested mushrooms might be a way to get me out of that funk, so I started macro dosing those. And I don't have scales or anything, but it's probably more than the recommended.
Just eyeballing it?
It's like that much. I don't know if you can tell. Is that a weight measure or anything about that much mushrooms? And I got to tell you, it pulls you right out of the funk.
It does, huh?
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do it. I want to go to ayahuasca. I want to have like that like mind-opening experience.
Well, I did when it became really apparent that that I probably needed to quit drinking, and it came about in a couple different ways. One, my girlfriend has a beach house. It's on the main channel, the Oxnard Marina. Her house is one of them, so the neighbors are maybe 5 years older than me, and they're all drunks. And so I had no choice but to look at it. That's what you look like right there. And in 5 years, it's not going to get better. See, it gets worse.
Really?
And and they're nice people, but they're just retired drunks.
And this is actually what helped.
It just made me look at it. I mean, the doctors were saying that I have some bad numbers. And but it made it easier just to look at the natural progression of life. I got to get ready to be 70 in 5 years, right? So how am I going to get around? How am I going to function? And it was really, got to the point, especially during the pandemic, that I was, that bottle of tequila was moving. I used to keep it in a cabinet, and then it went to a coffee table that I didn't even have to get up, just reach over and pour a little bit. And it went from 5 to 3:30 in the afternoon, and it just, but I couldn't really see a life where I didn't drink, because number one, I'm famous for drinking, and so socially, I'm kind of the hub of social activity in some circle, you know, and then I have a crew on the road with me all the time, and I've gotten them drunk every night for years.
Sure.
And on my nickel. And I'm like, I don't think other employers do this, you know, every night. Let's go get trashed on me, guys, every night. Come on, let's go. So I'd heard about ayahuasca, and I thought, well, that's what I want to do. I want to go down to Costa Rica and go to a place called Rhythmia, and I told them how much I drank, and then they said, no, you can't come here because we're not set up for detox, and you're going to have problems. And and that's not what we are. It can be a byproduct, but it's not what we're here to do. You know, so you got to quit for 15 days. And I'm like, 15 days? No way. So I went to this hypnotist in Santa Monica, and really cheesy looking operation. Guy's doing it out of his garage, and he has a brown wig that's just a little crooked. I don't know if it's all part of it or what. And he had a thin, tall glass of water with no ice that he barely sipped on. And you're in his garage, you know, 30-year-old recliner, blue, velvety looking, you know, and the guy's so good at what he does. And you go to 4 sessions, it's $250 a piece. Rehab's $3,000 a day in LA. So you go for a month, that's $90,000. And I went about 10 years ago. I stayed sober for 6 months for, I think then it was $70,000. I'm like, well, to stay sober the rest of my life is going to be pricey. And if that's all I'm getting is these 6 month chunks out of this $70,000 investment. So I went to him and so I just did what he said, you know, the first session, I didn't quit drinking. He said, you don't have to quit drinking now. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
How long does this go?
Yeah.
A year. I went to a slow program, and then you quit after the second one. And I got to tell you, I never went through any kind of detox or didn't buy. And I did the first time I quit. I was in a fucking hospital room, shaking and sweating. And now I think they were giving me pills to make me shake and sweat because it's the only time I've ever done it. And I think that I don't know that for sure. I'm making false accusations.
Sure.
But still, it entered my mind.
Yeah.
Well, why was I, you know, because I was drinking more now than I was then. But nothing. I just quit, and it didn't bother me a bit. And then I went down to Costa Rica and did a week at ayahuasca. And it was... Well, you know, it's really nice, number one. This place, it's not a canoe down the Amazon to a corrugated tin shack with a bunch of feathered, you know, it's not that experience. Yeah, no. It's used to be part of a J.W. Marriott on the beach, and it was their overflow on the jungle side, so this guy bought it and turned it into this health facility. So the food's great, everything's included. You trip for 4 nights, and from like 5:30 to about midnight, and in the perfect environment. I mean, it's this big room has beds, mattresses on the floor, and they're all made up. It's all really nice, pillows and blankets, and it's very kind of ceremonial. You know, that we do have feathers.
Sure.
There's feathers there.
Feathers help.
And there's 4 different shamans, a different one every night, and the juice is a little different every night. And the first night I did it, I tripped so hard, and I don't mind altered states, and boy, but that was a little much for me. And I wasn't exactly sure. At one point, I'm like, I can't do this 4 nights in a row.
Yeah.
There's no way. But the drug that's in it, the active ingredient, is over. It gets out of your system, just like that. And so they know exactly when it'll be over. So at midnight, when they turn on the light and say good morning, no matter how hard you were tripping before, it's not like go to bed.
Yeah.
But it's over. And you're like, oh, well, I can do that. I can go to the dark side, because they tell you to lean towards the dark side. So if you see a rainbow and a unicorn and this side of the street, and then there's some dude you barely recognize near a window, go that way.
Yeah.
Don't hop on the unicorn and fly over the rainbow.
Yeah.
And because there's nothing over there.
Right.
And so I was leaning into it pretty hard, and but once I found out it was over, I'm like, I can I can do that, you know, as long as it's not 16 hours of when is this shit going to go away.
Yeah.
And so, and the next night I went in there and the shaman gave me like half as much, and you could drink as much of it as you want. You just can't do it past a certain time, so they know it's over when it's over. And he gave me like half as much, and he said Mother Ayahuasca is giving you the night off. And I'm like, okay, whatever you want. And it was so beautiful. They had on the back, they had all these hammocks and the great sky and monkeys and shit and a big fire out there. And the shaman just goes, just go outside. And I said, what do I do? And just go outside and sit in a hammock. And when it's time to come in, come on in. I said, how will I know when it's time to come in? He goes, oh, you'll know. So I'm out there going, oh, it's kind of like a little light mushroom buzz. And then I opened my mouth and the entire forest rushed into it. And I'm like, it's probably time to go in, right? And I went on in and laid down on my mattress. And some people there's vomit buckets too, because it makes people vomit.
This, yeah.
Or it gives you the shits, which is what it did for me. And so I kept having to trip and balls. I got, oh my God. And I never thought I'd walk into a room full of people throwing up in buckets and go, lucky. I got to go to this other room and shit.
Yeah.
You just throw up in your bed.
Was it life-altering experience? The way a lot of people describe ayahuasca as like, oh man, this completely changed my perspective on things.
What it did, in a nutshell, was helped me forgive everybody except one fucking divorce lawyer. I'm telling you, I did it. I was so good with forgiving everybody till it came to that sorry motherfucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
And so I'm hung up. Just that one little thing, but the rest of it's good.
That's pretty good.
And, you know, it also a big part of just forgiving me for, you know, to let it go. It's a waste of time. It takes too much energy. And but it really showed me a way to let it all go.
Yeah.
And I tell you, the experiences after the first night, which were dark, were very light and full of nothing but love, feelings of love, and it affects everybody differently. Because the night that I was on the mattress, could not get up, I couldn't figure out how to scratch my head. My head itched. I have hands with fingernails.
Yeah.
Couldn't put them together.
Really?
Like, because I was just thinking about something else, and then somebody walked by, and I was like, can you scratch my head? And they're like, yeah, sure did. That good? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And other people are dancing. So in my head, I'm doing the Bill Hicks line. So you guys can use your legs, huh?
Yeah. So you went through a full ride. This is a full ride.
A full ride, and 4 nights in a row. But the other 3 were just joyous.
That's great.
And completely different. And I was ready to attack. I was ready to go deeper. And they're like, it was kind of like a death and a rebirth.
Yeah.
But I got there quick.
Yeah.
And now I don't know about all that, right? All I know is I wanted the experience of it. I found this place that was really good at it, very, very safe, and it's like $5,000 a week for the nicest room they've got, and that includes food. So it's not rehab prices, and you're in Costa Rica. I ended up staying in Tamarindo for an extra week after that.
Man,
fucking love it, man.
Yeah,
and
I just got connected to somebody who will fly in and either they'll do it at your place, or you can go to a place and they'll administer and take you through that.
You know, I know that's going on. I know it's going on all over Beverly Hills.
Yep.
And my yoga girl used to go do it, and she's really the one that kind of talked me into doing it. But I wanted to. I didn't really trust. I mean, I have a little trouble with an honest or a healthy amount of problem with trust, and so I just made the decision to go down.
I think that's cool as shit. Yeah. And by the way, I think you deserve an enormous amount of credit for having the awareness to see those neighbors that you were saying that are 5 years older and having the thought of being like, hey, this is the future.
Right.
Like being able to see that a lot of people don't put two and two together like that. They just look at their neighbor and they're like, all right. And they just keep going.
Yeah. You could really, I really like those people, but I have a tendency not to go there because of them, because I just, and not that it makes me want to drink, because it makes me want to drink even less.
Right.
And I can't drink any less because I don't drink at all, but I would drink less than none.
How have you, it's been 16 months. How have you adapted to knowing that you're Ron White? Everybody goes, this guy's always got a cocktail and a cigar. He's great to be around. You know, the crew, meaning everyone just being like, I want to have a drink with this guy.
Right.
And now you're not drinking. Like, do you still socialize? Have you adopted like some other thing that lets you be in those circles? Or like, what's your...
Well, if they want to smoke pot and eat mushrooms, I'll do that.
There you
know?
go.
So, I still got some shit going on.
Okay.
It was socially, it was awkward at first. And I had a tendency right at first to kind of isolate. And then it got to where the upside to me not drinking was so big.
Yeah.
That it didn't matter to me anymore. And it was,
you
a
have
really
so much more
short
clarity.
period of time that
You have much more clarity, like you think in your mind, or like
I sleep like a baby. I feel good when I wake up.
Yeah.
Unless I've been tripping all night and then I feel like shit. I don't want to paint too great a picture, and I also am not recruiting.
Yeah.
People to quit drinking. This was my problem.
Sure.
It was nobody else's problem. And I own a tequila company, so I need people to continue to drink at an accelerated rate. We had to take a truck off the route when I quit.
There you go.
And
number one tequila.
my investors, even though they said, "Oh, that's great, you're going to quit drinking," they totally didn't sound like they meant it.
Yeah,
It sounded like it was just something they were throwing in there for fun.
Sure.
Oh, great news.
That's
for
great.
all of us, Ron.
Yeah.
So, you know what? And the weird thing is, I don't talk about it on stage. I go on stage with a bottle of my tequila and a drink that looks like a drink, because people go, well, why aren't you honest? I'm like, it's not a fucking newscast.
No.
It's a comedy show.
It's a show.
Yeah, most of it's not true.
Right.
So
many people don't fucking get that.
Yeah, these are jokes. I just tell them in story form. So it may sound more less like a joke, and more like a story, but it's not. It's jokes written into a story form, and
I love it.
Quite
it's my
frankly,
favorite
I
thing.
could never ever figure out another way to do it.
Yeah,
and this is the only way it worked for me. So I'm like, fuck. Why?
It's my favorite
thing.
thing.
The least resistance.
Favorite thing to watch is like what I remember was like, I always liked watching stand up. Like when you get into stand up because you like watching it, you enjoy stand up. But my favorite type of stand up to watch before I did stand up was somebody just talking about like their day or something that happened. And it sounded like it was someone who had come over to the house and just telling you like, do you know what happened?
Exactly.
That was my favorite kind of thing to watch. And I gravitated towards doing that the longer I did stand up because I was also just better at that than any other form of stand up. So I love the storytelling style.
Right.
It's my favorite.
Yeah. And it's easy to get into, and if you go out and live your life like a banshee anyway, then stories are going to arise, you know, like the Vero Beach thing. Well, I couldn't have written that.
Dude, so for people that don't know, so I went to high school in Vero Beach. There's not a lot of things when you're in Vero Beach that people talk about. Vero Beach is a small, mostly retirement community. They did have the Dodgers spring training for 49 years until fucknuts moved them to Arizona. That was our only thing, was Dodger Town. So like when I was in high school, I would go to Gold's Gym to work out next to Mike Piazza. I would go to church on Sunday with my parents, and Tommy Lasorda would be, shit like that was it. And then you'd hear Vero Beach very seldom. And then one day they're like, hey, you know what happened in Vero Beach? Ron White got arrested here. And I was like, what? And it was on your plane, or your plane had landed, right? What's the Actual story.
The actual story is I was flying in there for 2 shows at the Sunrise Theater, I believe, in Fort Pierce.
Okay.
And I was on the plane. It's my plane, by myself with 2 pilots, and there were new pilots because I fired my old pilots. The old pilots decided it would be great to call a number and report a drug smuggler. This plane, and you can follow anything on FlightAware.
Uh-huh.
And so before I would land, that's what they would do, but it never worked. But this time it did, and so I'm just sitting on the plane, and I noticed there's people in flak jackets and fucking dogs, and I'm like, I wonder what's going on there.
Yeah.
And then I tried to, it's me. So they get me off the plane, and these cops were solid dudes, and they were fans.
Of course.
And they go, Ryan, here's what happened, and I said. He said, can we search the plane? It'll all be better if we could just determine that you're not a drug smuggler, which we already know you're not. You're here to do a show. We totally get it. We're fans.
We have tickets.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Short of that, but so I'm like, yeah, go ahead, search the plane. So they put drug dogs on the plane. Well, of course, I smoke pot on the plane, so the dogs are. Yeah, I don't know what that's all about, but. And then the guy goes, the dog needs to sniff that bag on your shoulder. And I was like, ruh-roh. Oh, no. And
there's a confidence that comes with being properly groomed, an aura, a vibe. You can just tell by the way they carry themselves. We call this BGE, big groomed energy. And the only way to get BGE is Manscaped. We'd like to introduce to you their biggest, and best ultimate hygiene bundle yet. The Platinum Package 4.0 Manscaped. They're the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. Now, trust them with the rest. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com/bears for 20% off plus free shipping. Inside this Platinum Package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose trimmer, Ultra Premium body wash, Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo plus conditioner, Ultra Premium deodorant, it's not ultra, but crop preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant, crop reviver ball spray toner, anti-chafing boxers, and the Shed travel bag to hold your goods while you're traveling. I'm telling you right now, the Lawnmower 4.0 is the only thing Leanne will trust me with. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/bears. That's 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/bears. Unlock your big groomed energy with Manscaped. And remember, when you trim the hedges, the tree stands taller. Or as I say, you can see more sidewalk. Today's episode of Two Bears, One Cave is brought to you by Simply Safe Home Security. Here at Two Bears, One Cave, we believe your home should be the safest place on earth for every family. That's why we use and recommend Simply Safe. Simply Safe is advanced whole home security that puts you, your home, and your family's safety first. And here's why I love it. I'm on the road. I want to make sure my family's protected. By the way, when I'm here, I want to make sure I'm protected also. Simply Safe offers comprehensive protection, not only against intruders, burglars, but against expensive home hazards like floods or fires. With 24/7 professional monitoring, Simply Safe's agents take action the moment a threat is detected, dispatch police or first responders in emergency, even if you're not at home. Simply Safe offers proprietary video verification technology so monitoring agents can visually confirm threats in order to get the higher priority 911 dispatch. You can customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/bears. Go today and claim a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring. Go to simplysafe.com/bears.
so literally there was 7/8 of a gram of marijuana. They weighed it 7/8 of a gram. Which is out of weed, right? That means you don't have any.
You don't
pot.
have weed, yeah.
You have any pot? No. 7/8 of a gram.
Yeah.
And so they, whatever fucknut at the station, the chief said, bring him in. He's a flight risk. He's got a plane. And they were so apologetic. They were like, because they had to do what he said.
Yeah,
you
sure.
know. So they're like, Mr. White, you're going to hate us. And I'm like, what? And I got a show to do, right? And he goes, they're going to make us bring in. I'm like, for this? For 7/8 of a gram of pot? Which they already said would be no big deal. When they said, look in the bag, I showed them that. And they're like, that's not it. And so handcuffed me, put me in the cop car, and took me down. And the funny thing was for some reason, because I don't understand money.
Yeah.
And never had any really until one day when I started selling out theaters, and you know what happens then. And,
yeah.
But I would get $5,000 a show in cash because I just wanted to make sure some of it was real, you know.
Sure.
And I felt better if I had it. And so
you're like, wire or give me the check for the rest, but give me cash every time.
Cash, $5,000. So I had done 7 shows since I'd been home, so I had $35,000 cash in this bag that I carry. And this guy's like, well, I'm going to need to count that money. And I'm like, it's going to take a while. And he's like, 1,000,
Yeah,
2, 1,000. I'm like,
Jesus.
No, you can't count it like that. Count out stacks of 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm teaching this motherfucker how to count. Right? And they moved me from city jail to fucking county jail, and the whole thing's going down the tubes. And I have a real problem being late to anything.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I'm on time. And so the show, it's kind of causing me some anxiety. But they're at the theater. They've got a theater sold out show. They were 2 different nights. And so this show's, the people are there like, hey, he just got moved over to county jail on the announcement.
They're announcing
it. Yeah. So when I got out of when they released me, there was a truckload of kids, a pickup truck full of kids that had these big signs that they'd already made that said free tater. And God, I hate myself for being in such a hurry that I couldn't stop and address that, take a picture with them or something.
Sure.
But I was 2 hours late to this show.
Yeah.
And not one person left. Everybody stayed there for 2 hours waiting for me to get out of jail.
What was that like walking out that night?
It was absolutely one of the most insane responses I've ever gotten walking on stage.
Yeah.
Because whatever happened, I got there for that show, and they stayed for that show.
They went nuts.
And it sold everything. This guy in a newspaper, the sheriff, said he may not have had many drugs with him, but how do we know how much he did have? I'm like, how do we know I didn't kill somebody? Are we being speculative on what I might have done wrong in the past? Because there's plenty to probably lock me up, but I didn't get caught for any of it. So I got caught with 7/8 of a gram. And
I didn't realize it was that little.
Yeah, and I wanted to fight it, but for fun.
Yeah.
And just because it would make them look stupid
to
have go to all this trouble over this.
And then they're like, here it is.
And I told them, these guys drove by 3 meth labs and a dead hooker just to get to my 7/8 of a gram of pot.
Yeah.
So you need to focus your energy elsewhere. But it sold everything. It sold tickets. It sold books. It sold everything I sell.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Amazing. And that's one of when you say Vero Beach now, there's very few things that people there they'll be like, Ron White was here and he got pinched on the fucking tarmac on your plane.
You're right. That was the biggest comment. Was Ron White has a jet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at it as 2 different jobs. One of them paid a little more, and the other one you had a jet. Yeah. And I'm like, I think I want to have a jet for a while.
Man, so everybody in within the comedy world, you kind of learn these things when the big names in comedy are into something. Everybody knows Seinfeld loves Porsches, right? Everybody knows he has those. Everybody knows who what kind of the big names interests are. And when it became known that you had a jet, everybody was like, fuck yes, Ron White has a jet. And everybody aspired to it. I want to know what, obviously this touring life is it's killing me right now. I think I picked up something this week. I just go city to city to city. Because to give people a background on you, it's you're you're a comic, you're working, you're grinding it out like all comics are. Blue collar really is like the explosion, right? That
Absolutely.
like launches you into another stratosphere. And then it's like now you're doing what you do, but you're doing it for a lot more people, selling out theaters everywhere. Somewhere along that line, you must go like, well, if I'm going to work this much, I might as well.
I'm gonna get a fucking jet.
Get a jet.
Well, I was when blue collar happened. I'd been doing stand up for 15 years.
For 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and I was doing 8, 9 shows a week in comedy clubs. So I had chops.
Right.
And I was blistering these crowds. And then the blue collar, the movie, they shot the movie, and I'm only in it for 10 minutes.
Is that right?
It's a 10-minute set. I'm opening for Foxworthy and Ingvall. So Larry and I are doing that. And so I'm like, if I see this right, I have a chance of getting really famous from 10 minutes of material.
Did you really think like that already?
Yeah.
You did.
I just saw that coming because Warner Brothers committed to it.
And you knew how big Jeff
money.
was and all that.
Yeah, and I watched Jeff explode right next to me, although I never thought it would happen to me.
Yeah.
But then when I saw it going down, I'm like, wow, wouldn't it be perfect if you got famous without burning that fucking show?
Yeah.
And so now I could sell out any venue in the country in 2 minutes at that time. And I've got a long-ass show nobody's ever seen that's tight as fuck.
Yeah.
So I was able to stay ahead of it. So by the time I'd release a special, I would have a show to do.
By the way,
because I stayed ahead of it early.
As a side note, this was one of the big fuck ups with the stand-up shows like Last Comic Standing, is that somebody would compete in that, win, and have a total of 15 minutes of stand-up. So then when everybody learned who they were, they couldn't capitalize on it.
Right.
They were like, I have 15 minutes.
Right.
And they're fucked.
Yeah, and the exact opposite thing happened to
With
me.
you, yeah.
Which was I had 15 years.
Yeah,
and
you're a headliner,
and had never put out a record.
Man,
and I think the first time we put a show on sale, my manager at the time, who was an asshole, he goes, "You need to. You haven't even sold out comedy clubs yet, Ryan. You need to do comedy clubs for a little while." I'm like, "I don't think so." And there was a little 800-seat theater out where I lived in Swanee, Georgia. It was connected to a big complex of theater, so it was a smaller one, but a nice little theater. I shot my last special there, and he said, "You'll be lucky to sell out one." I sold out, I think, 8 or 9.
Jesus Christ.
And, so that week, I made 100 and something thousand, more than I made the whole year before that.
Sure.
And
it's fun to call that manager
I'm like,
too. What do you think of
wow.
that shit?
Yeah. This good, right?
Yeah.
It's working out. And so and Jeff was flying everywhere, and I was over to Jeff, so I was flying around on a jet he was renting, and it's just so fucking expensive. And so I found this. I had a friend that was good friends with Bill Clinton, and he used to have a West Wind 1. And not the plane I would recommend, but that's what I had, and it was a great plane, coast to coast distance, 7 people fit on it, bathroom nobody uses, and these 2 pilots. It drinks a lot of gas, but I bought it for $1.6 million, but I just sold it for like $110,000 because it was so old. It was built in 1980 and nobody would finance it. Still a perfect airplane.
Yeah.
You never want to be afraid of old planes. You want to be afraid of new planes, 737 MAX.
Yeah.
Because the old planes are pretty simple, and that jet engine is not. They still sell the same jet engine that was on my plane for $1 million a piece. Now they still sell that motor. It's a perfect motor.
Sure.
And but now, there's so many of those planes that just don't fly anymore because of their age. You can pick up those engines for $100,000 and put them on your skateboard. No, you can't. So I thought, and I was also doing 145 cities a year.
God damn.
So I already had a tour bus that I still have, the same one, 15 years old or 20 years old, and I thought, well, I'm just gonna make touring as soft as I can for me. Yeah. And work this motherfucker like crazy because who knows how long it's gonna last? Not long. probably, if you look at all of it. You know, I watched guys that were better than me not stay in theaters, like Rich Jenny, for one. Better comedian than I'll ever be. And he would make the corner into theaters, and then the next thing you know, he would be back at comedy clubs again. And
why do you think that was?
he was such an asshole. I mean, he was.
Yeah.
I mean, he really was, and I know he had problems because he shot himself, right? So there's your start looking here, and right, and but I was such a big Rich Jenny fan.
He's so funny. For people who don't know, he's so funny.
Gifted entertainer, and just beat a room to death with really smart stuff. But I was headlining the Improv down in Miami, Coconut Grove, or wherever it was, and he was coming in. I was there for 2 weeks, and he was coming in on a Monday and Tuesday, or one, maybe both, and doing just a one night there because he wasn't back in theaters, but he was just doing one nighters in comedy clubs. And so he came in, and they didn't have a green room there. It was just a front office, but he had a little meat tray set up, a little special, not much, but more than they got me. And I went in there and just told him I was a fan, told him I was the headliner. He would have no reason to know who I was. I was just a club headliner. And he looked right past me at his manager and goes, "How long is he going to be in here?" I'm like, I was so surprised, I mean, I get it, just a young comic but I don't get, being that rude to somebody. So then really kind of right before he offed himself, he was down at the Comedy Store, and I was down there with Doug Stanhope, and we went over and just fucked with him.
You did?
I mean, like, hey man, let's go bowling or something. We never hang out anymore. We met down there, and we just did all because he doesn't like to talk to people anyway. We just wouldn't leave him alone, and we did it. It was because I told Doug that story about what a dick he was, and Doug said, "Well, let's go fuck with him," and then he killed himself. I feel so bad. I don't really blame myself, but I was there. I was there. I was there kicking the fucking ant bed.
How? Looking back on it, though, how much do you are glad you had the jet, right?
Yeah,
it was the shit.
Yeah, it's just you got to work hard, to justify it.
Sure.
But if you're doing that kind of work, which you are, and
would you look into this camera and
which one?
I think this one here.
Yeah,
and tell my business manager it's probably a good idea.
Tom will kill himself in commercial flights. That's what happened to Rich Jenny. What happened was he was perfectly normal, and he started doing all this work, trying to make his manager some money.
Yeah,
and his business managers, and they held him back, and the pressure got to him, and we all know what happens.
Jeff,
and
it's settled.
Boom! It's jet time.
It's jet time.
Man, I wish I wouldn't have sold mine because I would have given it to you, and you could have used it. And
Jeff
I just had it repainted too. It was the coolest plane. Yeah.
Wait, this is the one I saw. The tail had the pirate
ship.
Yeah, I saw that.
It had a skull and crossbones on the bottom of it, and I told my wife at the time, this is like 3 back. I said I'm going to put that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Are people saying I own all these jets? No wonder. Well, you can't just...
Do you still smoke cigars?
Yeah, I do.
Nice. You have a favorite?
Can I smoke in here, or do you not allow people to smoke?
I mean, I would love for you to smoke in here. I don't know if can we smoke in here?
It's your place.
I don't think it's a great idea, but if you are cool with it, then definitely.
I'm cool with it.
I just have these little nicotine cigars.
Can you give us like something to ash in?
Yeah, give me a minute.
Okay.
But yeah,
I got this cup.
Oh, right. Okay. Never mind.
Great.
Yeah,
it would also be the most hilarious episode ever.
The one there it is.
Yeah.
With the pirate ship on the bottom. Oh, anyway, I told my wife that I said I'm going to put a skull and crossbones on the bottom of my plane. She goes, "You shouldn't do that." And I said, why not? She goes, that's like saying fuck the universe. I said, well, you're going to hate my other idea, which was to write fuck the universe underneath the skull and crossbones. So there's a skull and crossbones, and it says fuck the universe underneath it. And I'm like, the universe made me a famous comedian. They know I'm kidding.
Oh, my God.
The universe doesn't take me serious.
This is fantastic.
That was that picture with me in the tie, and I know exactly where it was because I only wore a tie once, and that was to address. It was Ron White Day in the state of Texas, and I was addressing the Senate.
Oh, really?
On Ron White Day, and you know what I said?
What?
I can't believe you guys have to work on Ron White Day.
By the way, I have a story. I don't know if you'll we can cut it out if you don't like it, but somebody told me this recently, so I have to tell you the story.
Okay.
So just mark this. We might lose it. So I'm doing this gig, and this comedian dating a guy, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah," and he goes, "You know, my dad is a comedy manager," and I go, "Who's your dad?" I know a lot of the comedy managers. He goes, "John McDonald." And I go, "Oh yeah, I know who that is. I've met him before." I go, "He fucking dropped off a client at my place one time. Like he brought the client over." And he's like, "Yeah, I grew up, you know, with like all these comics." And he's like, and Ron White. And I go, "Oh man." So I start talking about you because we're just talking, you know, comedy stories and comics we like. And he goes, "Dude, I have this story that I've never told Ron." And I go, "What is it?" And he goes, "It was, I don't know how many years ago. Ron comes over to our house."
Yeah, he's a little kid then.
He's a kid. Yeah. And he goes, he has a Porsche Cayenne SUV.
Yeah.
He goes, parks it there, and he goes, I forget where, like to a gig or something for a few days.
I know the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, tell it. I don't care.
Okay, he goes, he's gone for a couple of days, and me and my friends are like, this is Ron White's truck. Let's open it. So they open the trunk, and he's like, there's like a chest in the back, and we pull it out, and it has every drug imaginable in this chest.
Yeah, it was.
And he goes, I go, "Wait, so what'd you do?" He goes, "We kept it." And we just shut the door, and then when Ron came back, he just got in his truck and left, and nobody ever said a thing. And he's like, and that was like our drug chest for like months. And he goes, and I never told him, and no one ever brought it up. So he goes, that happened.
And eventually his dad brought it up.
He did?
Because his dad found the chest. Where'd you get this? Out of Ron White's truck. And I wasn't really focused on my drugs at the time, so I wouldn't even miss that chest full of drugs.
Really?
I had so many.
Yeah.
That it was like an extra chest full. That's where I kept the spares or something like that. But I do know that because he sat me down.
He did?
John did. And
You guys know I'm doing the Fully Loaded Festival. One of my favorite things in the world is dip. I love it. I quit. Long time ago, I quit. But I love putting a dip in. I love taking it out. I love the smell. I love the aroma. Look, I'm telling you, when I go to a baseball field, I need a dip. And there are alternatives for everything these days, even meat. But where are the high-quality nicotine-free tobacco alternatives? Well, we've found it. If you're 21 and over and you chew and or dip or those pouches or long cuts, you have to try this tobacco alternative. It is everything you love about dipping without the actual tobacco leaf stem or nicotine. All the flavors you know and love. Straight peach, blood orange. For me, mint. I smell mint, and I want to have a great conversation. They sell the product at blackbuffalo.com. Black Buffalo Zero is available in both long cut and pouches. And if you're still seeking that calming, tingling in your dip, you can check out their regular product line as well. It's made in the USA, and I'm telling you, I love it. I love putting a dip in when we get in the tour bus and starting a conversation, and I can have a beer. I don't mind having a beer with it. It's 2022. Are you still dipping traditional tobacco or those white portion things? If so, and you're 21, it's time to get with Black Buffalo Zero. It's everything you love about dipping without the actual tobacco leaf, stem, or nicotine. Head to blackbuffalo.com and use the promo code 2bears at checkout for 15% off your first order. That's the best offer you're going to find, but you have to use my code 2bears for 15% off your first order. One last time, that's promo code 2bears for 15% off your order.
Sunglasses season is here, and there's no better option than our friends at Shady Rays. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and extremely clear polarized lenses for outdoor living and beyond. That's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Get as crazy as you want this summer and wear your Shady Rays with confidence. They also provide 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order and have donated over 20 million meals to date. Look good in your shades and feel good by making an impact. If you don't love them, exchange for a new pair and return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop with Shady Rays. Their team always has your back. Exclusive for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use the code BEARS for 50% off 2 or more pairs of sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people.
Yeah, John was my manager and for a while, and he was not the asshole guy. The other guy was the asshole, J.P. Williams, and J.P. Williams and I, he was always an asshole to me, but I wanted that job with Blue Collar.
Sure.
And because it was great. It was a great fucking job. Jeff paid me well. When I opened for him, I made so much money. Yeah. And then the Blue Collar thing looked like a stairway to fucking heaven. And but he always referred to me as an overpaid opening act. And, he just
your own manager?
Yeah, my own. Well, yeah. But he wasn't really my manager then. He was Jeff's manager. But then they formed a company to manage me and Dan after Blue Collar. So we got back together for Blue Collar 1 or Blue Collar 2, the second movie. And but we hadn't toured together for a while. But I'd made a few $1 million, that year, 13. And and so he still wanted to play that same game that I didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
About the overpaid opening act because I was selling out the Radio City Music Hall. And I was drunk and we were finished. It was the rap party at the hotel. Yeah. We were all done. Everybody could have gone home.
Yeah.
But this asshole brought out the fucking asshole in me, and it turned into a big shoving fuck you motherfucker. Well, the next day he dropped me from the roster, and this is a client that's paying him $1 million plus a year, but sure. I wasn't his client.
Right.
I was John's client, and so that caused a little riff in the company when one guy fires the other guy's only client, so that caused them to have to split, and John went with me.
So that's how that ended up.
That's how that. And then I loaded his kid up with drugs, and then
I mean, it's so amazing. People who don't know this world well about managers, like there's like 5 that are worthwhile. They're not. There's so many of them that are just fucking. They just answer phones.
Right.
And they forward you itineraries. And you're like, the fuck do you do, man?
Right.
And then they have the balls to say some shit like that to somebody. And you're like, hey, man, you're a fucking glorified secretary.
Right.
Get the fuck out of here with this
caddy.
shit. Yeah.
You're a fucking grabbing my bag.
You're telling me this shit?
Right. Yeah. And so I figured that out. And I got to the point, I never wanted to be anything but a comedian.
Yeah.
And that's what I was focused on. That's what I wanted to do. So anytime the period of my career when I needed the Tonight Show or I did Letterman once and then I did the Scottish guy, what's his name? The talk show guy at Late Ferguson.
Craig Ferguson. Yeah.
And so I didn't do very many of them. And then, but when I got popular, then they all wanted me to do it.
Sure.
And I didn't want to.
Yeah.
And because I know that it doesn't help.
Doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything. I mean, Jake Johansson has been on the Tonight Show 20-something times.
Yeah.
And can't sell out a funny bone. And he's one of the best comics alive.
Yeah.
So that's not the gateway or the pathway anymore when it used to be.
It did.
Isn't
that crazy that you used to fucking do? People would do Johnny Carson, and the next day they'd be like, "Everybody knows who you are."
Everybody knows who you are. Yeah. So But anyway, that doesn't exist anymore. So anytime I started getting, I had a development deal for from Fox out of the Montreal Comedy Festival. So I had a movie coming out, Blue Collar, and a development deal. And the development deal was for Senor White, which is about a time in my life that I lived in Mexico and owned a pottery company.
Okay.
True story.
Okay.
And
true story?
True story. And I lived in Reynosa, Mexico, and I had a pottery, let's call it a concern, because I was concerned about it. It wasn't really a company, but we made beautiful stuff. And so things were looking good, right? I'm staying in a nice hotel, driving a really nice BMW on Fox's nickel. I got an acting coach that's still my acting coach to this day, this lady named Eva Charney, who's great. And we made this thing, this called Senor White, and it was really good. But at the end of the day, Rupert Murdoch's kids looked at it and said, nah. And so it was gone. And then Blue Collar went straight to DVD. And I'm like, and then I was back at the Funny Bone in Omaha. And I'm like, oh. And then somebody explained to me that it's not over yet, Ron, because that's a really good movie you're in there, and it tests really high in all markets. And they had decided, instead of spending, they had earmarked $8 million for the push out, and they reduced that to $800,000
for the marketing
to
of
make it make it die in the theaters. They already had deals in Walmart and Target and everything else. So and they were right, because the DVD sold 4 million. In no time, and then spread throughout the land. And I mean, I couldn't even walk in a Walmart or something like that without being completely. I was way more famous then than I am now. Mobbed, and I'm like, wow, this worked. But anytime I did television, and I was in a show called Roadies on Showtime, and I did some movies. But not big roles. But anytime I did it, it cost me money because I'd have to stop touring to do it.
Of course.
And, so I never really cared much about that brass ring because I already had a brass ring, and I wasn't willing to put it down to go for another one. I thought I was pretty lucky to have this one. So, and I love doing stand-up. And acting, I can do it, and I'm okay at it, but I'm a really good comic. Yeah. And so that's kind of where I always wanted to be.
Dude, you know what I ended up doing in April? I wrote this thing that I've wanted to make, and I just paid to shoot it, because I was like, I don't want to go through the process of going to, and I've pitched before and had deals and shot, and I was like, no. Yeah. So I just shot it myself. So it's in post right now. But like, I just spent my own money to make the thing I want to make, because I was like, I don't want it to be in someone else's hands.
That's great. I could never make a deal with television. Either they wanted me to do something I didn't want to do, right, or I wanted to do something they didn't want to do.
Exactly.
So eventually, I did not do what you did, which was make whatever I wanted to make.
Yeah.
So I just kept doing stand-up. So,
but ultimately, too, the thing is, I mean, I made this thing that I wanted to make, and I'm glad I did it. But I'm still like, well, I can't wait to get back to stand-up. I mean, it's just what I love doing.
Yeah.
It's I don't even think if this was a thing where somebody was like, okay, we want to acquire it and make these, I would still look at it as, cool, I'll do that for a few months, but I don't want it to be my life.
Right.
I never want to like stop doing this.
Yeah, how could I say that? And I'm retiring at the end of the year, but
yeah, but that's after how many years of stand-up?
38 years and tens of thousands of shows, but it's kind of weird because I want to retire.
You really want to retire?
I'm happy with the run. It's been a great run, and I can certainly afford to retire and do whatever I want. But when I really made the hard decision to retire, I made it really based on the fact that I never thought I would be as good as I used to be. And coming back from COVID, because I really struggled with my chops coming back from that. And I could still do it, but it wasn't the same thing. I wasn't stepping on them. Something was missing. And but eventually, I got that back. And I'm on stage just beating the fuck out of crowds. And so retiring is still I won't quit doing stand-up. I'll keep doing stand-up. My plan is to quit making money at it.
Really?
What a great plan.
Yeah.
And because I want to keep my chops in case I change my mind. So, I'll still do Rogan's Club and the Vulcan and stuff like that. And I loved going down there and doing those short sets.
Yeah.
And if you don't have to live in LA or New York to do that,
it's great.
Then, it's a crazy opportunity to continue to do what I love. But, I'd just like to have a fucking Friday that I didn't have, that I could go do something, besides stand up.
Yeah.
You know exactly what life is. You just don't take weekends off. And
so you'll keep it as something that you do, but you're not going to be like,
I'm just not going to be a touring
guy,
comic anymore.
Well, shit, after 38 years.
Yeah. It's enough. It's plenty. And there are also a million, it seems like a million, not a million, but there are a lot. Comedy is in good hands. I mean, comedy doesn't need me to keep going, and I don't need comedy to keep going. But now it's, you can, there are so many ways like these podcasts to stay relevant and in front of people.
Would you do one?
No.
No.
But I would do yours.
Okay.
With no effort. I wake up at 10:30.
Yeah.
Eat a sandwich, ham and cheese, Swiss, and come on down here and do
Have
this.
a coffee and do this, yeah.
Or Joe's. I enjoy doing Joe's show every once in a while.
Yeah.
But maybe I would do a podcast. I don't know. I tell you, I don't find myself very interesting. On a day-to-day fucking basis. I'm just I don't even know what I would do. What I would set it up like everybody else.
How many people do you know have had a fucking a pottery consideration in Mexico, have ate ayahuasca in Costa Rica, have owned a jet and a tour bus, and have toured the country making people laugh for 38 years? That's not like the guy
I know, but it took you 17
store.
seconds to say it. Okay, now what?
Now what? Look at his fucking hair. We can talk about your hair for the next hour. How'd you have hair like that, you asshole?
I don't know. My Twitter or my Bumble profile for a while was hair, teeth, dick, and money.
That's
so you got to overlook a little fat, but the other boxes.
I mean, you got like Fabio hair, man. That's not fair.
It's hair. It's hair.
God damn it.
Cherokee. That's my mother's Cherokee.
Really?
Yeah.
God damn it. And
my dad was bald as a bat, and so. But you're not bald. You just have a shaved head.
Now, right here. So once it started to thin up here, because I don't have the hole in the back.
Right.
It's in the front. So once it thins out here, you look like a dick if you grow your hair out. You just have like these stragglers in the front. So I just take it down.
Yeah, no, it's a good look for you.
I have a good shaped head. That's
you do. I don't. I got a lump on one side and a lump on the other side. I never went with the shaved thing, but
good you have all that hair.
I know. I just fucking rub it in people's face.
You should.
Here.
Yeah.
Take that.
No, I love too. I love that you brought into stand up this thing of like, I love the story. I told you I'm a huge storytelling fan. I try to do it as much as I can because I enjoy doing it. But you also brought in the like that a guy can be a comic. See, when I started comedy, I thought like you should try to look like shit for some. Like I was like, oh, does this t-shirt have a hole in it? Wear that. Because that was in my mind as like, that's what, you got to be like a mess. Right. And then like I would see you and it's like, this guy's in a suit. He's holding a cigar. He's like a fucking gentleman up there. And then you're on your jet. And I'm like, oh, you can be like living a comfortable, good life and still be a great comic, And that was also like a way of inspiring, like the aesthetic of it all. That you don't have to be I don't know. I feel like all of us that started when I did were like into that, like be a bum up there,
grunge.
Yeah, like look like
grunge
shit.
Look. Yeah,
and then it takes a while to be like, no, that's not appealing to even look at.
I kind of had, and somebody else told me this, and it was a guy that was a hypnotist in the comedy clubs, and I can't remember his name, but he was the only one at one time, an older guy about 65, and he said you should be the best dressed person in the room, and I'm like, okay, well that'll be easy.
I think
put on a shirt and a tie. I never wore ties, but I always wore, always got dressed up for to go walk on stage. It felt like part of the process.
I think once you put yourself in an audience member's mind, it makes a difference because you go, who do I want to look at for the next hour? Do I want to look at a guy with like a wrinkled T-shirt,
Right.
or a guy who's dressed nicely?
Right.
It's like, oh, that's the star. That's the person we're watching.
Right.
And I think it totally does something. Also, I also noticed that whenever I'm dressed really well, it does affect the way I perform, like little things, and the way that I feel like I'm perceived. It's almost like they're like, oh, this is the person in charge. Right. You know? And even if you go to like
absolutely
a house party or something, right? And you have a suit on, everybody's like, okay, like this guy's supposed to be here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
like,
they'll let you in.
Yeah, you're the boss, I guess.
And,
man.
yeah, and you know, do you ever want to tell Kreischer just put on a shirt, dude?
Fucking my whole life.
Just put on a fucking shirt. Just you
Yeah.
know, it doesn't have to be great.
Yes.
But a shirt, you know?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, of course I want to tell him that.
It was funny when I was tripping my balls off on ayahuasca.
You
can
thought
talk
about
to
it?
mother. You can talk to mother ayahuasca, and it was that first night, and I was having a really rough time, and I said to mother ayahuasca or to myself, I said, I'm just hot, and she said, just take off your shirt, and I said, I don't want everybody to know I'm fat. And she goes, they already know. And I'm like, oh no. How do they know? I had it covered up. I had it draped. I had it. How would they know?
Yeah, no, he's God, he takes that shirt off and it's like it's just such a pop, you know. People are like, look at this fucking bloated carcass.
Not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
And I guess it's the not give a fuck that there he is.
There he is. Yeah. I told him that I hope he never puts the shirt on. And that he's doing stand up at 65 and 70, so people are like, "Whew!" Like when he's 70 and distended, and
yeah, it turns into a hanging mass of gut.
He'll definitely have that insulin thing sewn into him, so people will be like, "The fuck is that thing?" They're like, "Oh, that's where he gets his insulin." And then he's got another morphine drip on his other side, and they're like, "Okay, this guy lives hard."
He does live pretty hard.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. I wonder if he'll go through a thing like you know, where he'll be like, because he associates himself too as being like the party guy, right? People see Bert and they're like, fucking let's party. Yeah. They want to have a drink.
And he's in.
He's in and he loves
the party. And I was too, you know.
Do you do what you know what he does? To me it's insane because I'm the Richard Jenny to his Ron White, is that I'm always like, I'm good. Right. But he'll tell an audience which bar he's going to. He'll be like, meet me at old fucking Mally's. And then he goes to the bar and there's like 1,000 people at the bar. And I'm like, dude, I would never fucking do that. Ever.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would do that. I really don't. I mean, I know I wouldn't then, but even in the day, I kind of avoided the crowds after the show, and you know, it never weighed out to be much good for me. Right. And, now it's just now I just want to live my little quiet life, and
I like it.
And you know, travel. I want to see the world. I want to go to concerts on the weekend.
Really,
I was off this weekend. I saw 2 great guitar players. Monty Montgomery at Saxon Pub was so goddamn delicious. You ever see Monty Montgomery play guitar? And then the next night, I went to a birthday party that guy is a beast. And that little piece of shit guitar that he plays, he can make that thing sound like anything in the world. It is just incredible. And I was working the Funny Bone 30 years ago in San Antonio, and somebody took me out to see him 30 years ago. And
this guy?
Yeah. He is a beast.
Wow.
I mean, a goddamn beast. And then I went to a birthday party over at Van Wilkes' house, and Van Wilkes is a crazy, crazy guitar player. He plays a lot with Billy Gibbons, and he had a big following in Europe. Just plays this 12-string that has so much harmonic to it. It just sounds like no other guitar, and that's Van Wilkes.
Wow.
And so that's what happens when you don't work Friday and Saturday.
You get to enjoy. You can
go dig on the fucking tunes and other people's talents, and
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was his birthday. He lives over in South Austin, this little house, and it's really It was just a really cool old school Austin vibe. I just had a blast, and it was so like great evening. I just sat out there in a lawn chair.
Dude, I haven't had a weekend, and I can't remember when.
I know.
I can't remember.
I know, they're gone.
Yeah.
How long have you done stand-up?
This is, this is 20 years.
20 years.
This
so,
is 20, yeah.
Yeah, you clap another 2 decades on that, you might be sick of it.
Don't even say it.
Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. I've been in therapy for a long time. Sometimes you don't even realize that you need therapy. Symptoms like lack of motivation, irritability, fatigue, they're signs of being burned out. You don't even realize why you're burned out. For me, it's to talk to someone helps me figure out what's burning me out. BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you to prioritize yourself. Talking with someone can help you figure out what's causing you stress in your life. For me, today I was walking down the stairs and I realized everything's great. And then I realized, I've been doing the work to make it great. I've changed a lot, and that is what helps. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. I don't want to. I like to get on the treadmill, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, walk 4 miles, and go through therapy. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/bears. That's BetterHelp.com/bears.
What about golf too, right?
Yeah. I play golf all the time. That's the kind of the dilemma, because I bought this lot out at this swank new place. It'll be the swankest place in Texas. It's out in Driftwood. It's called Driftwood. And it's a Discovery Land property, and they make the swankest stuff there is. Mm-hmm. Tom Fazio comes in and does it. The course is open. I'm playing it, and probably this afternoon. And I bought a lot there, and I was one of the early people to do it, and that lot became so valuable that now I don't think I can afford to live on my own property that's already paid for, and so I think I'm going to sell it.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at houses this afternoon, but my dream was already set to build a house on that, but now the lot's worth fucking $4 million, and I'm like, God damn it, I don't want to live on a $4 million lot.
Yeah,
and,
that's
so I'm going to sell it and just buy a house, but you have to own property to keep that membership. But I'm already a membership at Barton, so I'll just play golf out there. I don't know what I'm going to do.
What are those, by the way? Can I see that?
Yeah, they're Romeo y Julieta.
Really?
Little cigars jacked with nicotine. They're great.
Nice.
So addictive. Regular high quality cigars don't really have a lot of nicotine in them. Mm-hmm. And not addictive at all. They dump the nicotine into these fucking things like cigarettes. But I didn't know that. So I started smoking them on the golf course, because if you step on a $15 cigar of mine, no matter if it's my fault or not,
yeah,
I'm mad at you for 3 holes.
Yeah.
Or if I leave one behind, it's $15. This is like $15 for a pack of them.
Can I take one?
And I take, huh?
Can I take one?
Yeah.
All right.
You want to smoke it? I'll share my ashtray with you.
Okay, cool.
Okay. But then I started getting off planes going, where are my fucking cigars? Yeah, I got Rogan hooked on these things slowly but surely. Now he waits for me to show up. Hey, give me one of those.
That's nice.
At some point, I'm going to have to steer him towards the cigar shop.
Yeah.
Get out of my pocket, Rogan. Great little smokes.
That's nice.
So we're going out this afternoon to look at houses. It's so much fun to look at houses, I think, and decide what I'm going to do. And
man,
I can't even afford to live on your river. It's so goddamn expensive over there. And
it's too much.
And I really don't believe in this market. I mean, but it doesn't show any signs of letting up.
I know. And
people are still moving here, and I'm like, damn. I mean, there's a house that we're looking at this afternoon that in 2011 was $400,000. Now it's $4 million. It's a great house, but I'm like, God, how can that be true?
It's
true.
Yeah. And also the thing, at least you live here and can look. When we were visiting to look at houses, I'm not kidding you. You'd call, you'd talk to your realtor and he'd say, hey, so tomorrow when we arrive, we'll check out these 6 houses. They're like, yeah. we'd land and they'd be like, 3 of them sold today. I'm like, today, this morning,
right?
And they're like, yeah. They're like, so they're gone. You'd have to like keep making trips, and everything would be gone. It would just be gone. So at least you can, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm
shop
kind of
while you're
nervous about this house it's only been on the market 2 days. We saw it yesterday, and it's just, but it's in town, and I live right now. I live in a penthouse downtown of a building, and I love it. I mean, it's the coolest thing, the best view. You know, it's pretty big, about 2,500 feet, and I have the first 3 parking places right next to the elevator. Lock it and leave it. You know, but there's an HOA. And and it's kind of like living in a frat house, and that anybody that's got keys to the front door they got access to your front door. And then nobody fucks with me, the parking space next to mine in the garage, there was a turd one day, and I'm like, oh, turd, and then there's only on the bottom floor, there's only about 30 cars that park there, and everybody else goes through a different entrance and they park in a garage. So there's only 2 dog owners down there, and the other one's a big dog, and my dog's small. Mustard is his name, and Frenchie. So the lady that saw that turd knew it wasn't her dog's turd, so assumed it was my dog's turd. So she filed a complaint against me for letting my dog shit in the garage and not pick it up. I get a certified fucking letter from the building saying that if I don't pick up after they explained the whole scenario. And I got so goddamn mad. I mean, just infuriated, and I went down to talk to the manager. I said, I want a written fucking letter from every one of these people apologizing to me for their stupid fucking mistake. And, of course, I didn't get it. Then a few months later, I'm coming in from golf, and we'd stopped and had a few cocktails on the way home, and I was drunk. And it just happened that they were having an HOA meeting. And so all those people were there. I didn't know about the HOA meeting. It was just going on. And I was walking by. I'm like, oh, let me go talk to these motherfuckers. So, and it was, so what you did was you decided by a turd's size and location what asshole it came out of, and who's to blame instead of whose job is it to pick up this fucking turd, which is what I thought when I saw it. Somebody's got to have a job. If there's a turd and there's a property and I pay an HOA fee, there's got to be an employee that comes by and scoops this motherfucker up. My buddy's patting me on the arm going, let's go, Ron. I'm like, I don't tell you, mother. And I'm like,
this is at the HOA meeting?
This is at the HOA meeting with a crowd, and all 7 of them, the popes, and so it really became fast. Then I wanted to do these things to my unit, and then they just said no to all of them. They were pricks, and then I did it anyway, and so I liked that. I mean, once I got past all that, I loved the spot, I loved the unit, and but I got a dog. I need a house with a yard. I don't want to live up there. But I sit out on that balcony at night, look straight down the river, and the sunsets are fucking gorgeous. And
it's nice.
It's nice, but I don't know what to do.
Well, it sounds like, I mean, you got that, and then you're going to sell the land of the place you already bought. You're going to have a nice thing to go shop with.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then my girlfriend has a beautiful place in Sand Canyon and a place in Oxnard at the beach. So, you know, we're like, we got to get rid of some.
Oxnard, meaning in LA?
In LA, yeah. There's a big, huge marina in Oxnard that I never really knew about until I met her. It's a gigantic.
How long you guys been together?
Well, we knew each other for a while and dated for a little bit, and then started dating again right around COVID. So we kind of went through COVID together.
I feel like I didn't know you. I didn't say anything to you, but I was at the Sirius XM radio offices, and you came in. This is like, I feel like it might have been like right before COVID. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
And you had the dog with you.
Mustard, the little Frenchie.
Yeah, little Frenchie. Yeah, you and a lady. I was like, but you know, it just didn't bother you.
I don't know which one it was. Probably wasn't Jeannie if it was before.
I think so.
Tall, blonde, or short blonde?
Short.
Might have been Jeannie.
Yeah.
But she's great. I'm gonna run out the clock with her. We're not gonna get married. She's got a bunch of grandkids and stuff, and she's my age. You know, I didn't really spend a lot of time chasing younger women. I like women my age, and she's
Yeah.
really pretty. I mean, she looks great. You can look great for a long time these days if you're.
Yeah.
Really, and she was an acrobat. She's really strong,
That's awesome.
and I had to. It's because of her that I won't date women I can't kill. That I know for a fact I can kill her if I wanted to. I never do it. I never do it. Never. But I would like the option.
Yeah.
And, but she, we'd gone out and she was all dressed up and I was dressed up and she says, I think I could take you down to the ground. And I'm like, when I stopped laughing, right? I weigh 220 pounds. She weighs 103.
Yeah.
Probably going to be a tough match for you this time in. And, but she was really serious about it. And she said, no, I really think I could. Well, I said, well, you could because I would never hurt you.
Yeah.
So not even if defending myself.
Yeah.
And she attacked me right in the chest, knocked me back, and she's a grappler, and she's strong. I didn't even know, like a monkey, because she was not an acrobat, a gymnast. So uneven parallel bars. It was a long time ago, but
Yeah.
she still has that core that's monster marine fucking strong. I had no idea until then. I was like trying to find, I really had to try to get her off me. But her hair was all perfect, and there was a squirt gun. I used to squirt my dog when he barks at other dogs on the screen of the TV. Yeah. And I got it. And I was squirting her hair, and that's the only thing that saved my life. I backed her into a fucking room with that squirt gun.
This is a 100-pound woman.
Fuck, I'm going to start checking people out, man.
That is a good rule, is to date women you can only kill. For sure. Yeah.
Not because you would, because you know,
but
you never
can't.
know. The same reason I don't have a pet lion.
I'm like you, though, too. Is that
right?
Yeah.
Because why?
Yeah.
When you don't have to.
Yeah, they can.
And if it decided to, you know.
I'm attracted to women my own age too, man. I really am. You know, you still look at a young woman, you go, yeah, she's beautiful.
Yeah,
she's beautiful, but I'm not like attracted to them.
Right. I see the problems.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I know Lewis Black dates really, really young women, and I'm like in their 20s and stuff.
Really?
And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, God,
what do you fucking even talk about?
How can he?
I guess you don't.
I mean, how can this? What could possibly happen good in this relationship?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Especially because he's like such like an intellectual guy.
Right.
He's probably like, I'm done with smart shit. I just want to talk to your dumb ass for a minute. You're a fucking idiot. I'll talk to you.
I don't understand it, but I mean, I've been married to my first wife is my son's mom. Who's one of my best friends. We went to see the concert this weekend together.
Oh.
And her and her husband, who I love to death. He's the greatest guy in the world. He was the stepfather to my son. And if you think that's not important, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Who that stepfather ends up being is the most critical part of your life because he can make things great or he can make problems you can't even fucking start to imagine.
Yeah.
And this guy's solid.
Really?
And we raised that boy together. Both of us did as men and a team. So and it's so great that we're all really good friends.
That is great.
Yeah, and a lot of people just don't understand that relationship, and how important it is. But he's divorced too, and he had a horrible one because the dude that married his ex was just this gun wielding Christian right wing far gone dude, and he has to put up with it every fucking day of his life. Well, now the kids are grown, so it doesn't really matter so much. But
that's crazy, and that can ruin your life.
Yeah, absolutely, it can. So I'm really grateful that she has great taste in men and knew when to get rid of me and hook up with Terry. So those are really important things. So, but my life right now is it feels like it's in a really good balance. I really don't feel like the need to do anything pressing. That I still am on scheduled to live the life I want to live, and I'm okay with the decisions that I'm making. So
you have a very balanced energy to you. Like you're very calm.
Not that I know that, and that has not always been the case with me. I'm in a better place because it's always been showbiz is a struggle, and I stepped in every little landmine they fucking built. I stepped in all of them, with ego and believing the press and going through the struggles, and then I mean, I really don't do anything on social media anymore. I have somebody post stuff, but I would just, my reaction to somebody saying something shitty was so over the top that I had to quit listening to people say shitty things.
Oh, right.
So
Totally.
I just did. And that's so now if somebody wanted to say something shitty about me, the only way you could possibly do it is to hire a porn star to write it on her ass. Yeah. And then maybe I would be looking at that particular porn and go, Ron White's not very funny.
Yeah.
And on that, wow, right
Yeah,
there,
right
get
there.
that to me.
Yeah.
So that's the long shot, but that's it, you know, because you can't talk directly to me.
You got to really be committed to getting Ron a message.
Yeah, you got to want it. You
Yeah.
got to want it.
Yeah.
And then it's still,
At that point, you
no
kinda,
guarantee.
You kind of salute it, though, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'll listen to it.
Like, is that in her
much
asshole?
trouble.
Her asshole says Ron White sucks?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I'm pretty happy with the way things have gone. I'm proud of. I'm really proud of my career. I
You
worked
should
hard
be.
at it, and my favorite thing about it is the respect from my peers, you and because if you don't have that, what do you have?
It's everything, and you have nothing but respect and admiration from comedians that like you started with, and comedians that are 10 and 20 and 30 years behind you. Everybody like I said, everybody we respect. I love comedians, but it's like there's nothing like, especially when you've been doing it for a minute and you go like, wow, somebody has been doing this 20 years longer than me and still goes up there and slays. Like that is because part of your brain, the reason why is that part of your brain goes, how is that possible? Right? Like when you put out a special, you always have this familiar thing that happens. You're like, how am I starting over again? Right? And it's like, it's the scariest part and it's kind of exciting. It's exciting at the same time. And you're trying to come up with new stuff. And then you're like, it's never going to be like it was.
And it always is.
Yeah.
And it just takes work.
It just takes work.
But it's always daunting.
It's daunting.
I always think, and that's really the thing. I always think I can't do it again.
Right?
There's no way that I can come
I
up
love
with
that
something
you're
as
saying-
funny as
yeah.
baby duck pussy lip tacos.
Yeah,
It's all downhill from here.
Yeah, yeah. And you realize that it's a familiar feeling of like, this isn't going to work out. But then you go, wait, but it worked out last time. And it worked out the time before then. And then you go like, how's the guy doing it 38 years? It doesn't make sense. How did he keep doing it?
Right, and it's pretty strange. It's not all that common to spend 20 years in theaters and without going back, you know. And so I think that I'm in a position that as long as my fans are, they're dying. I mean, most of them are pretty old, but that I could continue to hang around.
Yeah.
But I don't ever want to be a mediocre comic,
No.
and to stay. You know what it takes to keep sharp, every day. I used to go out in Hollywood. I would do sets every goddamn night.
Yeah.
And for two reasons. One, that was my social thing, and I love hanging out with other comics.
It's the best.
And and drinking in that bar was my favorite bar.
Yeah.
And then to be able to pop in and do a fucking set and work on new stuff and the room was so sizzling hot that it wasn't really the best place for me to try out new stuff. The best place for me to do it is in front of my fans to see if they think it's funny, not if this crowd of people that aren't necessarily my fans think it's funny and I'm following fucking Ali Wong just mopping the fucking floor with them, so you better go out and do some jokes.
Yeah.
And but it was just the funnest environment, but and I loved. I had a really cool house in Beverly Hills, and it was a fun hang, but it just came to an end, and where I just don't want to do that anymore. And thank God that Joe moved down here and has this vision of comedy clubs on every corner, and
The
which
city
is
is
great.
like
And
it's
he'll
happening.
make that shit work.
Yeah, I think like we got his coming. There obviously is like the Vulcan
The
Creek,
and-
and then there's they're opening another one at the Domain. They're
It's
opening.
already open.
Is it open now?
Yeah, I'm going to go out there and do a set. It's supposed to be beautiful. They really built it.
Helium, right?
It's the people that own the Laugh Stop. I don't know what they called it.
Yeah, I think it's
I
a
thought
Helium.
they'd keep the name, but is it,
Is it
something else?
Helium at the Domain? Let's see. Is it Cap City?
Oh, Cap
They're
City,
calling
yeah,
it
that's
Cap
it.
City, but it's the same people that own Helium.
Oh,
right?
they gave it 4.5 stars. I haven't been out there yet, but I heard it was open. I don't know about the North Star Comedy Club. Is that here too?
Don't even know about that.
It's 3 stars.
I'll pop into the Cap
Comedy
City.
in
I'd
the
like to do
Capitol.
that.
What the fuck? I didn't even know this stuff was here.
Yeah, I know.
They're all over the place.
It's gonna keep going. Yeah, Cap City. That's right. Because Cap City was famously at another location for years and years and years. That was a great place to work. I used to love doing that room.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
And it used to be turned around where the stage was on the other end of the room. Back when it wasn't Cap City, it was something else. Laugh Stop, I think is what it was.
Right.
And then it was really cool. And then they would turn it around. It went from one of a kind to one in a dozen.
Yeah.
And but it was still a good room. So I assume this one will be too.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I don't even know when the open mic nights are. Does it say?
I don't know. What happens when you click on their link for that Cap City thing? Yeah, click on that. Let's see what they're saying here. Yeah, go to the website. All right, yeah. Helium. Yeah, so Helium owns it. And what's their calendar? Hit the scroll up to the top and just hit calendar there. Let's see if it lays it out. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is June late? Okay. Does it say open mic night? Is that?
I can't read it.
You make that bigger? Best of.
Best of. That's probably open mic night.
Probably is, right?
Best of one night only.
DL's kind of. They must have multiple rooms because they got DL and another guy, Sean. Scroll down more.
Maybe DL's just doing one show a night.
I don't know. I think it looks like he's doing 4, and the other guy is Jeff Ross is doing
coming
4.
in?
But then another guy is doing 8 and 10. I think they must have multiple rooms.
Looks like Jeff Frost is moving here. He's there so often.
Wow. Marlon. Yeah, so you're right. This is fully operational now.
Yeah, they're up and going. So that'll be good and another great option, for us to go. One of the things that about not drinking is it dawns on me every once in a while. Oh, I can just drive over there.
Yeah.
Wow. I haven't driven later than 5 o'clock in the afternoon in years.
Now you can.
And I also had a tendency not to drive at all.
Yeah.
And now I can just get in my car.
Nice.
And
love it.
Enjoy the mushrooms on the way over there.
I can't wait. I'm gonna hit you up for the ayahuasca info, the Costa Rica trip. I think I want to try that.
Yeah. I'm going again on the first of the year.
To do that again?
Yeah. I had a bunch of friends that wanted to go with me, and I'm like, this is one of those walkabout things. So I'm going to go out there by myself first time and see what it is. And so I didn't take anybody.
But this time you're gonna?
Yeah, it's this friend of mine that used to own Patron and wants to go down there, and so he owns a bunch of land in Costa Rica, so I'll probably go down there with him and in his Falcon 7X fucking badass plane.
Nice. Yeah, this was great, dude. Thank you for coming by. It was a fucking a blast to sit here and podcast with you, man.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it too, man.
And congrats on everything.
You too. I mean, I couldn't be more thrilled. Yeah, you can get that in Austin, or you can get that all over the place. So it's called Number One, and you can go to taterstequila.com, and we can send it to your house. And we've won 16 gold medals with that. It's never been beaten in a competition. That is the finest drink of tequila that I know of, and it's not overpriced because the big boys have $1 billion advertising budget.
Yeah,
and we have me going, hey, I got some tequila for sale over here. Yeah. And I pass the savings on to you.
And the añejo is what I love. This is my favorite.
Extra añejo. You'll love that bottle. So that's a gift to you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Fun to chat with you, and let's do it again, man. This will be fun.
Anytime. I'm here. You're here. Let's do it.
All right. Thanks, Ron.
Bert and Tom and Bert. One goes topless while the other wears a shirt. Tom tells stories and Bert's the machine. There's not a chance in hell that they'll keep it clean. Here's what we call 2 bears, 1 cave. No scripts, a bit of booze, amateur partology. Dirty jokes, raunchy humor, no apologies. Here's what we call 2 bears, 1 cave.